technology. She is a co-coordinator of Admissions Ambassador, a student group in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and they happen to be our top 3rd fundraising team. Good job, guys. All for Erin, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She is a Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, and she's a determined young woman who is full of perseverance. Please welcome our honorary survivor.
You guys hear me? Okay. So thank you guys all so much for having me, first of all. It's such an honor to be here and speak with you, because mainly getting cancer is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. Bold statement, right? Well, let me clarify. Cancer wasn't the best thing that happened to me in the sense that I loved getting a bone marrow biopsy, or that I'm going to refer to losing my hair as one of my favorite memories ever. But cancer is one of the best things that happened to me because of the things it taught me. It immediately and permanently put my life into perspective, and in the matter of a few seconds, I realized the value of simply being alive. So really, cancer was never really killing me, but rather it was teaching me how to live. When at 20 years young, I would be diagnosed with cancer. There is a story my mom would tell me when I was a little girl. There are 4 guys sitting around a table. Each complaining about their lives, how they all had it so hard, and no one ever could understand the hardships they were facing. So one had an idea. Hey, let's switch problems, because no one could have as bad of problems as I do. We'll all switch, and then we'll all be happy. But this didn't exactly work out very well. Once they put their problems out, each man immediately took his own problems back, because they realized that once their problems were put out, they didn't really have that big of problems when they looked around and compared the problems of those to their friends. The moral of this story, Erin, my mother would tell me, is that no matter what you experience in your life, no matter what kind of hardships you are faced with, always remember that there are always going to be people out there who have it worse than you and people who have it better than you. It wasn't until last year that I really started to understand the true weight that this message held. When I went from being a listener in the bleachers, where all of you are right now, to being the speaker here. From just 1 short year ago, watching brave, courageous survivors give speeches on having, fighting, and beating cancer, to share my own experience of being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at 20 years young. 1 month and 1 week after participating, remembering, and fighting back in Relay for Life 2011. It's ironic, looking back, I never realized the most important person I would be relaying for was myself. If someone would have come up to me at Relay last year and told me that I would be battling cancer for the entire upcoming summer, I would think that person was absolutely wacko. Why? Because cancer wasn't supposed to happen to me. I'm healthy. I take care of myself. But cancer did happen to me. Cancer happens to all kinds of different people. It happens to rich people, poor people, sick people, healthy people, young and old people. One thing cancer doesn't do is discriminate. Cancer doesn't care who you are. Like a lot of cancer patients will tell you, I discovered the signs of my cancer by sheer happenstance. I was playing around with a necklace I had on my neck, and I felt 2 weird abnormal bumps. I can't really explain it, but I knew something wasn't right. They felt too round, almost like bouncy balls protruding from my neck, but I just shrugged it off. The end of the spring semester came and went, and after the finals were over, came Friday the 13th. I was scheduled to head to the doctors just to get those pesky lumps checked out. Probably mono or strep, I thought. I'll get a prescription and be on my way. My doctor then told me, all right, Erin, let's get some blood work and a chest scan. Okay, I said, not thinking too much out of the ordinary. It wasn't until he came back and asked, is your mom at work right now? Well, yeah, I said. He then told me he would have to step out of the room for a second. Coming back, he says, Erin, I think the best course of action is for you to have a biopsy. Wait, biopsy? Thinking back to the episodes of House that I would watch religiously, they only do biopsies when cancer could be a potential diagnosis. And at that moment is when the potential thought of me being a cancer patient popped into my head. Cancer? Like the lose your hair, get sick from chemo, potentially could die cancer? You better believe it. I remember going home in tears, telling my dad that the doctor said I would need a biopsy. Immediately, my dad, having a medical background as a molecular biologist and knowing how cancers work assured me that whatever would happen, we would handle it and we would get through whatever we had to go through and we would be okay. My dad acting like a rock-solid foundation, always assuring me that we would get through this together, was vital to my positive attitude throughout my cancer journey. I went in for a biopsy of the nodules on my neck. It would be the first time I would hear those dreaded 3 words that no one ever wants to hear. Before going into the biopsy, the doctor did an ultrasound of my neck, and then stepped back with a melancholy look on his face. "I'm going to be honest with you, Erin," he said. "There's a 90% chance that you have cancer. You have all the symptoms." Wait, what? Cancer? I can't really explain what I felt at this point, although I'm sure all the survivors wearing purple shirts here today know exactly what feeling I'm talking about. It's like a slideshow going on in your head that you see going a million miles a second, not only of the road ahead, the uncertainties you're bound to face, but of your past, the old you, the pre-cancer self, the self that will forever be in your past, because now you are a cancer patient. And the harder you try to hold on to those memories of that pre-cancer self, the faster they dissipate. I remember looking out of the window when the doctor told me this. My first thought, what will I tell my parents when I die, when I'm 20 years old? I have so much left to do in my life. I have to graduate from college. I have to get married and be a mom. I have to do all the stuff I've always dreamed of doing. May 20th, 2011 marked my official diagnosis. That day, I became another statistic, learning the definitive words, without a doubt, you have cancer. It's hard to put into words the feelings I felt at that exact moment. Words like frightened, scared, unsure, terrified, sad, and confused don't really even come close to the thoughts I had. Okay, so I had cancer. Now what? My doctor assured me that I was lucky. I was fortunate enough to be diagnosed with a rare, more treatable type of lymphoma. The prescribed course of action was chemo, followed by radiation, which brought along with it one major side effect: hair loss. I couldn't believe it. "You will lose all of your hair," he told me. When the doctor uttered these words, the waterworks started. I grabbed my long, curly, thick hair so tight, thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm going to lose all of this. I'm going to lose my most defining feature, or so I thought. And I'm not going to have anything to say about it? I felt such an immense loss of control. No matter what I did, I would be losing my hair. Why? Simply because I was one of the unfortunate people whose body got cancer. How can I do this, I thought. The road ahead seemed so rocky. The mountains I was about to start climbing seemed so insurmountable. Not even 3 weeks ago, my biggest fear was how well I was going to do in my finals, but now it was, how is a bone marrow biopsy going to feel? How would chemo affect my body? How in the world am I going to cope with losing all of my hair? But most of all, will I get through this alive, or will I meet God a whole lot earlier than I had ever planned? I, Erin Tlachac, had cancer. It was a battle in and of itself. Initially, and understandably so, I was so mad at cancer. I was mad that I didn't have a choice in getting cancer. It was just an unlucky draw. I remember sitting outside of the doctor's office while my dad was calling my mom to tell her the official diagnosis. I was sitting right in front of a huge window that was overlooking a courtyard. It was a beautiful, sunny May day, and I just remember seeing people walking around, being all happy and enjoying their lives. And I thought of life going on without me. The feeling of being left behind, a feeling I would grow quite accustomed to for the next 4 months. I cried myself to sleep every night that week. The first test after my diagnosis was a bone marrow biopsy. I know that saying I had a bone marrow biopsy sounds intense, but it wasn't really all that bad. And I think I say that now because I was pretty heavily sedated. Throughout my cancer journey, I questioned everything. How will I do this? How will I be okay? Well, the simplest answer I can give you is that I just did it. I did it because it had to be done. And I knew that with my faith in God, I just had to make it out alive and okay. I knew I was too young to die yet. The most vivid memory of my first chemotherapy session was going up to the 10th floor oncology. Sorry. Walking out of the elevator, I saw so many other people in the waiting area, looking so weak, with wheelchairs, oxygen tanks, and the saddest looks on their faces. But to me, these people looked more like superheroes, some just barely clinging to life, and I admired their strength, a strength I never thought I would attain. The first chemo lasted about 2.5 hours. The nurse told me that I should be expecting to start losing my hair within the next 2 weeks. I decided to be proactive though, and make the most of the situation. So I cut my hair short before I started to lose it all. 10 inches to locks of love. If I can't have my own hair, I thought, then someone else should definitely get some use out of it. My hair stayed in for about 4 more days, and then I slowly started losing it. The cancer treatments had done this, and I had no control over that. But I did have control over the mindset that if I was going to lose my hair, I was going to control how I lost it. So a few days after my hair started falling out, I went to have my head shaved, after hours at my hair salon. I held the hands of my 2 friends the whole time. And again, the waterworks started. I closed my eyes and just felt an incredible loss of control. Not even a month ago, I was complaining about how my hair is so thick and long and curly and becomes a force field in the heat, and now I don't even have hair. I didn't bring my wig with me because I knew I just needed to face the fact that this is who I was going to be for now. I was going to be a bald cancer patient. I put my cap on and walked out the door. I felt ashamed for the way I looked, and looking back, I'm not really sure why. I was so embarrassed for what cancer had done to my physical appearance. I felt as though I wasn't even a girl anymore. Cancer had taken so much from me, and I was only a month into everything. Sorry. I had no idea how I was going to get through this. I felt such a feeling of emptiness, like every part of me that made me me was taken away. Throughout the summer and through all my treatments, I did what I could to stay positive. I kept my faith in God and my family that everything would turn out okay, and eventually this would all just be a distant memory. And I take a positive approach when looking back at my experience because I see all the amazing things that cancer did for me, physically and mentally. I'm a firm believer that my positivity was one of the key reasons why my cancer journey was so short. So I guess to put it simply, you can always find the positive in the negative. You just have to look hard enough for it. And as Dumbledore says in Harry Potter, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. All you have to do is to remember to turn on the light. And that's what I did. I turned on the light. Then, before I knew it, came August 1st, 2011, the day we would see if the chemo had done its job. The day I had been waiting for since the moment I heard that I had cancer. The doctor came into the room after I had my PET scan, sat down, looked me straight in the eye, saying, "The cancer's gone. Gone. Non-existent. Not even a trace left. Untraceable. I beat it. I beat it. I beat cancer. I'm now a survivor. There is no longer cancer in my body." Immediately, I was overwhelmed with feelings of excitement and joy. I felt a happiness that I never felt before in my life. Radiation treatments were next. 10 days straight of a quick 30-second zap to make sure the cancer didn't come back. There was a banner that I saw when I would go into my radiations. It was advertising National Cancer Survivor Day that had signatures of probably 200 people who had beat cancer, just like me. New survivors like myself and other 20-something-year survivors all signed this banner. After looking at it for about 10 minutes, reading all the signatures, I realized no matter where my cancer journey took me, I would never, ever be alone. My cancer treatments ended on August 26, 2011, just 3 months and some odd days after my initial diagnosis. It's easy to think that your own contributions to Relay doesn't really matter. Well, you're definitely not alone, because after all, that's what I thought. I'm not proud to admit it, but I thought, yeah, okay, I'll fundraise once a year for cancer research, but really, how much difference am I myself going to make if I just raise $100 when cancer research alone costs millions of dollars? It wasn't until I became a cancer patient that I realized how wrong my thought process was. I also had the flawed thinking that Relay was just a 12-hour thing. And yeah, I reflected and remembered those who had been affected by cancer, but really, only in that 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. time frame, and then that was it. Again, I'm not proud to say that these were my thoughts, but they were. When you make a choice to Relay, you are permanently changing lives like my own. Contributions similar to the ones you and others have made have not only changed lives, but saved them. It's because of the remarkable things that each one of you do here that I was able to be diagnosed and cured of cancer within a 3-month time frame. The money raised here helps cancer research become so effective to the point where cancers like mine are now looked at as more of a disease than a cancer, because so much is known about how to target and treat them so patients permanently remain in remission. The awareness and money raised doesn't only go to fight the scientific sides of cancer, but also goes to help programs that help the emotional battle that cancer patients fight. Programs like the Helpline, which is a hotline that cancer patients can call, are put in place to be there in times when patients feel most alone, which tends to be a lot of the time. Luckily, I had an amazing support system from friends and family that helped me cope on my difficult days. Other programs like Look Good, Feel Better are indispensable when it comes to helping people with the physical sides of having cancer. When you relay, try to have the mindset that you are actually relaying for the year, not just for a small 12-hour time frame and then your good deeds have ceased. The difference each one of you makes lasts forever, not just for tonight. Standing on the other side of the fence, or well, bleachers in this case, trust me when I say what you do matters. What you do is nothing short of amazing, and I want to personally thank you on behalf of all cancer survivors for giving us the best present we could ask for, more birthdays. Cancer took a lot from me, but it also gave me even more than I could have ever imagined. It gave me appreciation for the little things. It gave me confidence to tear down any obstacle, and it gave me the compassion for other people fighting cancer. I leave you all with this quote I found one night during the summertime. I encourage you to think of this quote whenever you see a road that seems too hard to travel, thinking there's no way you'll be able to make it through. A feeling similar to how I felt during my cancer journey. There is no thrill in easy sailing when the skies are clear and blue. There is no joy in merely doing things which anyone can do. But there is some satisfaction that is mighty sweet to take when you reach a destination you thought you'd never make. The destination for me is standing here in front of all of you, telling you my own story of why I relay. And my satisfaction? Looking back and thinking that I was one of you, and that although I changed from being a listener to a speaker, I'm still the same me, just with shorter hair, a whole lot stronger, and a lot more thankful. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story, Erin. Keeping Erin's inspirational words with us tonight, we would like to invite all of our survivors and caregivers to the front of the stage. You are the reason we relay tonight. We all have a common goal of